Hello everyone and welcome to this video, which is in our Great Engine Games series. I'm Grandmaster Matthew Sadler and we are taking a look at a really nice game today. It's between Stockfish and Stockfish Classical, and it was played in the TCEC Season 28 Stockfish Classical Blitz Chess Gauntlet Bonus, in which current Stockfish and Leela took on Stockfish Classical. What's Stockfish Classical? Well, I think it equates to Stockfish 11. It was the last version of Stockfish with a human-coded evaluation function. After that, Stockfish moved on to neural nets for its evaluation function and has never looked back. It's essentially the same type of engine as a Stockfish 8, which took on AlphaZero, only vastly stronger. But still, it's an engine that has the same shortcomings, you could say, in evaluation. And it was really interesting to see how much further current Stockfish and Leela have moved on from that, and yet also to marvel at how amazingly strong Stockfish Classical is when the game gets tactical. And there were many fantastic games, but this was one that I watched live, and well, my jaw just kept on dropping more and more as it happened. So let's have a look how it went. So it was E4, E6, D4, D5. Now, the engines were playing 5 minutes plus half a second increment, I think, and they were playing from the starting position. So the Stockfishes were pretty free to come up with what they wanted, and Stockfish Classical was incredibly keen on the French, which in hindsight maybe was not a good choice against Stockfish and Leela somehow, but led to some very interesting games in some openings that I've played a lot. So I was very interested to see that. So went for the Steinitz variation, and then F4, and this has become a very big main line at elite level. There are many different variations. Stockfish Classical favoured in various move orders, a line that I've played myself quite a bit, which is after developing the bishop to E7, playing A6 and then B5, just trying to expand on the queenside. So I mean, white can play it in many different ways, but Stockfish and also Leela played it in a very interesting way, just tempting those black pawns forward, but kind of getting black to close the center, and then hoping that with a closed center, your kingside attack will be much more powerful. I mean, that's classical sort of positional theory. In engine games, everything's always more complicated and less clear than that. But that's generally what happens in the game. So Queen F2 played, and then B4 played. Now the knight would kind of like to retreat to E2, but then of course C4 traps the bishop. D1 isn't a great square for the knight, especially when the queen's gone to F2. The knight doesn't get out to F2 at all. So white played the move knight A4, and black plays C4 and bishop E2. So what's actually happened there? Well, I mean, black has gained a couple of tempi on the queen side to really push the queenside pawns forward. And well, it might look as if that white knight in A4 is sort of restricting things on the queen side, but after the move knight B6, it's clear that white's not going to have much of a barrier to further expansion on the queen side. The only thing that you really wonder about is is this really, how dangerous is that queenside play? And after all, I mean, white with this center so solid, white's got a pretty free hand to castling and then trying to play moves like F5, and well, where's that black king going to go? If you're moving forward your queenside pawns, king might not be that safe on the queen side, but on the king side, of course, you're going to run into a kingside attack, and well, leaving it in the center, you still get hit by a kingside attack. So it's a very complicated position here. So knight c5 was played, and now a5 from Stockfish Classical, and this is still all theory. In actual fact, correspondence games and also human games in this. Here there was a bit of a divergence. I mean, Leela played the move h4 straight away, just looking to gain that space on the king side. And actually this went, yeah, it just went very, very well, very quickly somehow. Knight d7 was played by Stockfish. Leela just exchanged off the knights, played queen g3, played h5, and then did some clever Leela stuff on the queen side, just sort of stopping black really from breaking through very easily. And Stockfish, tried to sort of maneuver and get through, but somehow Leela managed to get the pieces very nicely organized. This bishop stops invasion on b3, points towards h7, and after h6, queen h3, knight b5, Leela decided that it was already time to start pushing the pawns. And I've mentioned AlphaZero and Stockfish 8 before. Stockfish 11 is vastly stronger than Stockfish 8 was, but you can see similar sort of patterns occurring somehow in the games, and you can see simply that Leela's just much stronger at evaluating the strength of wing attacks than this version of Stockfish. And of course, Stockfish Classical is often doing exactly the same thing as well. So let's have a look. But what did Stockfish do? Neural net Stockfish played the move b3, which has also been played a fair amount. Just trying to already, I guess, putting up a barrier on the queen side when black plays a4. And there's possibly some ideas of, taking on c4, breaking open the center if ever you need to. It's just kind of fighting back a little bit on the wing. So a4 was played by Stockfish Classical, and this is actually a novelty. The move previously played was castles, which, to be honest, feels a tiny bit early to me. I'd probably rather kind of wait a little bit before castling kingside, but I mean, at some stage it's generally going to happen. But it could also simply transpose as well. But I feel better just playing a move like a4 first of all, getting on with that queenside play. Castles played, and now castles from black. So this is where you really need to think about what you're going to do. And it's kind of funny, right? These games are played at 5 minutes and I think half a second. I think that was the increment. It might have been smaller than that even. But the TCEC machines are so powerful that I think they're vastly outperforming my machines at 15 plus 5. So it's kind of hard to know whether what I'm looking at with my machines is just what Stockfish at TCEC considered along the way and then rejected, or whether it's kind of interesting. But Torch was looking to play h4 very quickly, which, to be honest, does feel very natural indeed. It's very similar to the Leela plan, of course. You're just going to play queen g3, h5, maybe h6, and then g4 as well. That looks very, very natural indeed. Stockfish played king h1 in the game, which is also a very decent move. And Stockfish Classical played rook a5, which is very interesting. Quite a flexible move. At some stage, probably want to play a move like queen c7, and then you might be threatening knight takes d4, followed by taking the knight. But you might also want that queen to be helping on the defense of the king side. So you just keep the queen on d8 for the moment. And here again, a very interesting moment. Torch was again wanting h4 quickly. I think also that am I right? I think that Stockfish also played this in one of my engine games as well, and it does feel very natural. But what Stockfish was thinking about as black was that black would play the move queen e8 and kind of keep the queen in the area of the king side somehow. And when the queen moves away to g3, then black's going to have this was one of the things, black's going to have this move knight d4 anyway. You don't need the queen support to achieve that. This was kind of some sort of pawn sacrifice line. So what Stockfish did in the game was quite funny. It played the move h3, and when black played queen c7, it played the move h4 here. So I guess that had something to do with, okay, the queen's a bit further away from the king side here, so let's now go with h4 on the king side. Now, I mean, the game's really starting to hot up now. It's quite interesting actually that when I played lots of engine games, I mean I played loads and loads and loads of them. Stockfish and Torch were also looking at positional moves. So, for example, Rook FC1 was one idea of Stockfish's here, with the idea of playing C3 at some stage. Just a complete shift of perspective there. That's very, very interesting, but it's well, of course, we're glad that that didn't happen, because H4 starting the Kingside attack led to an absolutely spectacular game. So Black played the move F6 here, which is pretty good. I mean, what I was wondering about, I mean, especially you'll see what I mean during the game. I was wondering about, well, shouldn't we, actually throw in one of these things now? Because that might actually, it might actually help somehow. I mean, if you go play a move like A takes B3, and white goes A B3, then you can actually, swap off a pair of rooks and reduce the, the attacking power somehow. And actually, in my games, Stockfish actually and Torch both looked at playing C takes B3, and after C takes B3 to take off like this, which shocks me, but with the idea of playing Bishop A6, and what you're doing there, you're really, well, you've kind of sort of stretched, put stress on the white queenside structure. You're swapping off a light squared bishop, so we're reducing some attacking power, and of course you'll always have A takes B3 and the rook coming in, through the A file later. I mean, quite sharp, right? Still, I mean, this was actually agreed drawn in this position, a game Torch against Stockfish. But I mean, you do have the feeling that Black's going to have some queenside counterplay, and that it's kind of an interesting balanced position. I mean, F6 is also an interesting idea, just to strike against the centre whilst White's still a little bit airy on the king side there. But that was quite an interesting line, and I was kind of looking at it pretty much every move, bearing in mind what happened in the game. But Stockfish Classical likes to live dangerously. Played the move H6, H5 came in, and now H6 from Stockfish Classical. Quite surprising in a way, because I mean, one of the most noticeable things about the match was how often Stockfish Classical allowed the pawn to H6. Yeah, like Stockfish 8 did against AlphaZero. And how often it ended up losing these French positions. But here it actually stopped the pawn in its tracks. I mean, another move that you have to point out here is F takes E5, takes, and then knight takes D4 here, takes, bishop takes C5. So this is actually winning a pawn for Black. I mean, it's not really that great a pawn in a way, because White's pieces get this D4 square, and Black's pieces are they're not really doing that much. So I mean, it's pretty okay for White. White's got plenty of compensation for the pawn, but the engines think that still would have been quite decent somehow. But yeah, what Stockfish Classical did was just play H6 and keep the position. E takes F6, bishop F6, and now it really starts going bananas. G4 was launched into the position. So again here, I was thinking, well, wouldn't you go A takes B3 here and, try and break things open a little bit? With the idea of takes, I'm going to take off a pair of rooks and maybe play this move Bishop E7 that Stockfish played in the game. Maybe looking to go Bishop D6 to attack F4, maybe looking to take on C5. But at least we've reduced the number of rooks on the board. But I mean, the attack is still pretty dangerous, right? I mean, we go Rook G1, something like Rook F7, for example, and then G5 takes, knight takes. And, I'm pretty scared by this, by White. To me, this just looks, way better for White with the two bishops, lots of pressure against the king. And I don't see where, Black's counterplay is. The engines think it's just equal. They think I move the knight round to F5 and then I'm kind of safe somehow. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it does feel very rough for Black to me. And certainly in a human game, I wouldn't fancy this at all. I mean, I think, that's one of the general things you'd say about this position. I mean, the engines will hold it, but I mean, I definitely wouldn't want this. So after Bishop B7, I mean, I was watching this and I was thinking, oh yeah, I wonder what's going to happen. Maybe, going to put a rook on the G file or something like that. But Stockfish just went for it straight away. G5, threw it in. And the interesting thing now is that, if black thinks, oh, better swap off some rooks here, better try and, exchange some things. I mean, it's already too late because we're already, just playing G takes H6. You play a move like B2, I just take on G7, and then I just go check and get my rook out of the way, and then I'm going to be attacking you, and you don't have much left on that kingside, to say the least. And moves like rook G6 are coming in pretty quickly. So Stockfish Classical didn't blink, played HG5, and now a move that really took me by surprise, but that I really liked. The move H6. And what's the point about H6? Actually, this reminds me very much of a game in Silicon Road to Chess Improvement. I think it's not in Game Changer, but it's an AlphaZero Stockfish 8 game. Natasha and I also did a huge number of talks actually at local chess clubs in England when Game Changer came out, and it was one of the games that we kept on showing, and it was one of those double pawn sacrifices on the king's side where what you do, you sacrifice a pawn, then you sacrifice another one, and the idea is if G takes H6, we go F takes G5, and by drawing that pawn forward, you've created tension when you take another pawn here. So F takes G5 is threatening G takes H6. Black has to react, and you've got that situation by sacrificing a pawn and drawing the black kingside pawns forward. It's a really, really nice move. I mean, I really, really like it. So black now played A takes B3. Trying to come on, swap off the rooks. You want to, but Stockfish now played H takes G7 here. So now a very interesting moment, actually on my hardware, and I ran God knows how many games in this position, and also let the engines analyze them for days in actual fact. And okay, my hardware is not amazingly powerful, but we're getting to around 300,000 million nodes, or 500,000 million nodes. So it's quite a lot of processing power there. And both Torch and Stockfish wanted to play King takes G7 here, which they thought was going to be kind of decent for black. Very sharp as well. I'll just show you one line. C takes B3. They want to take off on C5. We take on G5. Rook H8, check, King G2, Bishop E7, Rook H1 here. Bishop F6, F5. E takes F5, Rook AG1, and well, you can tell it's absolutely bananas. Let me just show you how the game ends up, because it's well worth seeing. Rook A2 happens, that counterplay, you see, that's why you played A takes B3, trying to attack laterally. Takes, Queen H4 check, King F2. Oh no, let's do this line, Queen H5, Queen E7, King H1, Rook E2. Black just desperately trying to destroy as much attacking potential as possible. Knight F7, Bishop G7, and then the engines found nothing better than a draw by repetition with this Bishop H6 check afterwards, and a draw. So that was King takes G7, and pretty sharp, but looks like black can survive. I mean, I was the move that first popped into my head just whilst I was watching was Rook F7. Just with the thought of being able to take on G7 and come round here without exposing the black king. It's not too bad. It's not losing, which is good for one of my moves, but it's not the best one. I mean, what Stockfish Classical did, I really had the feeling this is very typical of Stockfish Classical. When I saw it, I thought, yeah, typical. Rook takes F4, and it's just the very sharpest reply, really just looking to break white's attacking potential, before it gets going. So, I always say it's, the typical Stockfish defense. And I think especially Stockfish Classical was sawing the legs off of your ladder as you climb the ramparts to storm the castle. And this is very much it. I mean, if you were to take on F4, Queen F4, you've lost all your attacking potential. Stockfish is counterattacking with G4. This one's dropping off. Then the knight. It's just a total disaster, basically. So you don't want that. There's another very clever point here, that if you play Queen H2, which was kind of the move I was thinking of, threaten to go Queen H8 and leave the G file free for the rook. But black's actually a little bit better after Rook H4. You just force the exchange of queens, and then you play B2, and you're just actually after here. yeah, this move of rook a3 was what the engines wanted, which a little bit hard to guess really. Hitting the bishop on e3. Difficult for white to find a good spot for it. Knight g2 keeps the piece, the extra rook, but then we're going rook a2 and we're going c3, and you know, well, I mean, it's just a mess, isn't it? Who knows what it is? b3 will come in as well once we get rid of this knight on c5. So yeah, I mean, totally, utterly crazy, basically. But that's the idea against rook queen h2. So Stockfish played the move queen g2 here. And yeah, you could think of many things that might need to be urgently done, but b2 won't necessarily always come in as you know, as the move you want to play. I mean, you know, you understand that the pawn on b2 might be dangerous. It might queen at some stage. But on the other hand, you know, by playing b2, I'm giving white a tempo, first of all, to attack. And, well, I'm even looking at knight g5 stuff. But also, I mean, I can get a rook onto e1, which is then joining in the attack, whereas on a1, the rook was passive. So it's not, you know, 100% a move that you'd be... I mean, I definitely, you know, think about it, but I wouldn't be 100% confident about, oh, yeah, that's really the move I have to play. I mean, it reminded me very much of actually the AlphaGo movie. If you've never seen it, I'm sure all the viewers of this channel have. But if you have, you know, by chance not seen the AlphaGo movie that details the match of DeepMind's AlphaGo against Lee Sedol, one of the greatest Go players of all time, then do watch it. And it reminded me because one of the games, you know, AlphaGo played an amazing move, a move that no human player would have played, simply because it was known that you didn't play in that sort of way. You know, Go, such a complicated game, very much played on intuition and feeling. And this was a move that, you know, over the hundreds of years that it's been played, this feeling had developed that you should never do that. And well, AlphaZero did that. And what actually happened was that one move proved essential in linking up all the sides of the board. And then, you know, 30 moves later, you saw the strategy. And well, seeing what happened later in the game, I saw that pawn on b2 and I thought, yeah, this is somehow it. And I think it's not too fanciful to say that this is exactly what happened in this game, because, you know, when I was running my engine games from this position, I was already getting a game that followed exactly the TCEC game until about move 60 or something. So yeah, I mean, really, you know, you can really not. It's not too fanciful to say that this is part of a strategy that's you know, going to link up, you know, black pieces across the board and make sure that that black king is safe somehow. But rook e1 was played, and now a move that again, I'm really wondering whether this would be found by any human player, because yeah, I mean, there's a big threat right in this position, and it's just queen h3. So you're sidestepping that rook h4 idea. You're not going to force the exchange of queens. You're threatening queen h8. So if you play the natural human move rook a2, queen h3, king g7, we're going knight takes g5 here. I mean, even rook g1, the quiet rook g1 is really, really strong. Just, you know, lining up on this g pawn. The black king's just completely cooked, basically. No chance at all for it. So you need a threat, and what Stockfish came up with was this move rook a3. And I mean, the rook's threatening the bishop on e3, which is going to remove some attacking potential. But also the activity of the rook along the third rank turns out to be incredibly unpleasant and incredibly influential throughout the game. And of course, you know, the rook on a5 was doing nothing. Here you're getting a major piece involved in the game. But I mean, Stockfish's next move, again, I found quite shocking. I understood it once I saw it, but yeah, it was quite something. Stockfish played the move bishop d3. Oh, sorry, played the move queen h3 first, threatening queen h8. King takes g7, destroying the pawn, and then bishop d3. You can actually play it in both move orders. It's one of the weird things about this game, and you know, you kind of realise that that engines have such a different rhythm in tactics than human players do, because so many of the variations, I was thinking, well, this must be an only move, but in actual fact, the engines are saying, no, it's fine, you know, this move order, that move order, nobody cares. And then later on in the game, I was thinking, well, you know, There must be loads of possibilities here, and the engines are saying no, 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 this is the only correct path. You know, it's yeah, somehow I think there's quite a lot to learn somehow about that. Too late for an old player like me, but for young players, definitely try and understand tactics the way engines see them. And it's not that you can calculate like that, but it's to understand, you know, the rhythm of the position, which, you know, certainly for me, a somewhat older player, grown up in the 1980s, you know, brought up with that sort of training material. You know, the way that the tactics, the rhythm of it, where there's critical positions and where there's not, according to the engine, it feels completely alien to me. But bishop d3, I'm threatening queen h7, c takes d3, but now the rook is blocked along here. But white doesn't have much time, right? Because black is actually soaring away at the legs of his ladder, and it looks like you're running out of attacking material. But knight takes g5 comes. Has to be this violent. If you go rook g1, then Stockfish will go rook takes f3, just destroy some more attacking potential. And after queen takes f3, there's d takes c2, and look at that pin again there, stopping the bishop from playing bishop takes g5. So knight takes g5 was played. I mean, look at this position. Bishop takes g5 and rook g1. So yeah, I mean, the black pieces look, you know, scattered all over the place, and you know, you're looking, you know, black's got a lot of extra pieces, but you know, you're looking at these and thinking they're completely out of the way. You know, you start thinking, well, how is black going to defend against this? So queen e7 was played, and now queen h5, and we're threatening rook takes g5. We're also threatening bishop takes f4 here. So yeah, one of those unusual engine sidesteps that I find very difficult to understand, to really grasp somehow. But queen f7 played, so just important to gain a tempo on the queen when you try and let your king escape. So queen takes g5 check, king f8, bishop f4, and now d takes c2. And this is what I mean with you know, linking up somehow, because yeah, if you hadn't put that pawn on b2, yeah, this c takes d3, d takes c2 would not really mean very much at all. But now, of course, you know, black's got threats of queening, and these are really very serious threats. It's a very good thing that that black's got some very serious threats, because you know, it's pretty clear that this queen on f7 is going to suffer very, very quickly. So yeah, something definitely needs to be done. But it's not as easy as you might think, because after queen check king e7, you might think, oh, okay, we're going to play rook g7 here. But there's a great move. You might want to pause the video and just work it out. It's yeah, I mean, it's that third rank again now. It's gone through a period of being, you know, it's gone rook a3, it was open, went through a period of being closed, c takes d3, now it's open again, and it gives black this move rook h3 check. Well, you can play knight takes c6 now, but there's countless good moves. c1 queen is one of them. So what does white do here? Just a move that shocked me again when I saw it, and yeah, really needed some good thinking to understand why it was. Knight takes e6 first of all. You play bishop e6 and rook g7, and then oddly enough, of course, somehow having given up the piece, and sort of for your feeling the rook now being protected on h3, but it's not, of course, because queen h3 happens, and after queen g7 I've got check, and I've got checkmate out of nowhere somehow. But yeah, that bishop comes through in the end. So that's rather upsetting. And there's another very big threat here, which just see whether you can spot. It's not 100% obvious. It's queen e6 check. So with the rook's not only attacking the queen, it's pinning it to the king, which means that the queen's no longer defending the bishop on e6. So knight takes d4 played, grabbing a pawn, of course, but actually protecting the bishop. So and you know, also freeing a path for the king to escape. I mean, obviously with pawns on b2 and c2, the amount of material that black can now give up is quite substantial somehow. So queen g6 was played, a very clever move again threatening to exploit the pin on the bishop. Queen g6 played. Queen takes g7, giving the queen up for a rook for the first time. Check, king e8, queen takes d4, and now b1 queen. Why is b1 queen important? Well, always important to queen, but of course white was threatening rook takes c6 check, and now the rook is pinned. I was vaguely wondering, actually, when I was watching it, I was watching this live, I was expecting bishop c1 to be the brilliant move, stopping the pin and threatening rook e6, but the engines just say knight d7 is good enough, rook e6, king d8, and then with that pin and the knight covering plenty of squares, there's not going to be anything better than some sort of draw, by perpetual or not. So, but the engines played the move queen e5, which is quite a bit nicer. Threatening queen e6, that bishop can't be defended rather. The bishop, of course, is covering c7 escape square for the king, and also stopping black from playing rook h3 to h6. So, yeah, all pretty scary stuff somehow. But what does black do? Well, rook h3 check is played, king g2, but black gives up a queen for a rook for the second time. So, queen takes e1 and king f7, and yeah, what is this position? Well, you blink and you look and you say, my goodness, black's got rook, knight, and 2 pawns for the queen. Actually, materially speaking, not bad at all. Now, unfortunately, you might think, well, could black even be winning here? It's not that, because there's a few things that white can do here to pick up some pawns. So queen f2 hits the knight on b6 and also hits the pawn on c2. So knight c4, queen takes, and then really what black was aiming to do in this position was to exchange off both of the pawns, the d and the b, for the a pawn. That was the idea. I mean, it's a good thing for black to do that, because I mean the key thing about the queen, and nobody handles the queen like Stockfish. Both Stockfish is actually classical and current. Nobody handles the queen like Stockfish, in combining checks and geometry and everything. A number of times I've lost games that I thought I was completely fine in because of that. Absolutely incredible. There's some very good examples in Silicon Road to Chess Improvement. So d4 played, queen f2, king g6, queen takes d4. Looks a bit odd giving up the pawn, but now the rook gets over, and we're really lining up on this one. It's not going to survive. So queen e4 check, king f6. Queen d4 check, king g6, always some checks. King g1 played, queen d4 check, king g6. And well, the game went on until move 130. So I'm not going to go through all this, I'm afraid. Just take it from me that not only did the engines draw this at the TCEC, but approximately 40 or 50 of my engine games, ran at various moments in this endgame, also ended in a draw as well. So we can be pretty sure that this was a draw. But what a fantastic game! I played at that speed, and simply amazing tactics. I mean, I did just love this defense of Stockfish Classical, I have to say. This whole b2, and then putting the rook along the third rank, and then just the third rank getting cleared somehow at the moment suprême, the supreme moment, and combining it with the pawn on b2, these threats of queening to distract the white pieces, and also this idea of bringing the rook across to give a check. Absolutely incredible there. And then this motif actually of the queen being sacrificed for a rook twice in quick succession, was very nice, very unusual indeed. So there we are. I hope you enjoyed that game. 33 minutes. It's a video 3 times longer than the game lasted, but I mean simply unbelievable. Amazing the content that you get out of 10 minutes of Stockfish playing against itself. So there we are. I hope you do enjoy the videos. I'm cooking some other things at the moment. It's taking a little bit of a while. But hopefully we'll have some interesting things from all sorts of events for you. And thanks very much indeed for watching, and do stay tuned for more videos. Thanks for watching.